My name is Paige Doral, and I helped with documentation and formatting on the Unix final project.
My name is Jack DeWeese. I worked on bash scripting for our cron jobs sh, creating this video, editing it, and installing the etcher.
My name is Ian Madden. I was in charge of taking the etched USB and installing Arch Linux onto a different computer, as well as customizing the OS.
My name is Macy Hoffman, and I worked on the icon and create backup scripts.
The Unix final project involves completing a full end-to-end Linux system setup, customization, scripting, and documentation workflow. The primary objective was to install a Linux distribution onto an external drive, configure the operating system according to project specifications, and develop functional bash scripts using Zenity GUI tools. These scripts, icon sh, cron jobs sh, and create backup sh, demonstrate automation, scheduling, and user-friendly interface design with the Linux environment. Additional helper scripts, update packages sh, and update network sh extend the project by supporting system maintenance and connectivity troubleshooting. This project requires detailed documentation, including screenshots of installation steps, customization changes, script execution, cron job scheduling, and verification of automated tasks. A video presentation demonstrating the work was also required, along with team collaboration and peer review. This report serves as a comprehensive overview of the installation process, customization decisions, script functionality, and testing results completed for the Unix final project.
So basically, the first part that we had to do was get some sort of OS onto a bootable drive. Originally, we started to use Ubuntu, but we quickly switched to Arch since it was easier for customization purposes. We used Rufus as our etcher and just put in the basic stuff that we would have, our usual OS, any partitions, any other small things, FAT32, and basically just waited until it downloaded, and then there we go. First part done, USB drive completed.
Okay, so after I was given the USB with the Arch ISO image on it, all I had to do was go into BIOS, change the boot order to boot from that USB, and then I booted into it. I was met with this, first just the Arch ISO live boot. So I connected to the internet, as you see here. And then after that, I went through the installation configuration. So the main things to talk about with this are how I completed the two customization requirements of this project. So the first one was customizing the desktop was my first customization choice. So I chose to go with GNOME. And you'll see that later when I scroll down the packages that I installed. But GNOME was one because it's the default for Ubuntu, and I'm familiar with Ubuntu's live desktop, so I chose GNOME for that. And then the second customization option was some packages like Spotify, VLC, and Firefox to customize our installation a little bit more. Also, you see here, this was me partitioning our hard drive. We use an SSD. We chose ext4 for it because we're familiar with that file system. So that's why we went with that one. And then there's me selecting ext4. Here are the packages. So GNOME, like I said, Spotify, Valgrind. We did Valgrind because we're C programmers, so we always need it. And then after that, it was pretty much as simple as just clicking install and praying that it worked. And then here we're booted with the prompt screen, the login screen. So we knew that GNOME worked and we knew the installation was successful. After that, all I needed to do was find a way to get this Wi-Fi card out of the soft lock, because I don't know why it did that, but we were able to do it. And then downloading our library from Git, we're installing a few things here in Git and some other packages. And then we installed it, we cloned the repository from GitHub, which is how we got our code from the VMs over to our actual machine. And then, by that point, customization was done.
Okay, so just going over the icon script for this. sh file is a variable where the user can just go into Zenity and select whatever shell script they want to be in the desktop file. If no script is selected, then it will just exit because you need a script to save as a desktop file here. Icon is just another file selection, except it is image files only instead of a script file. This is literally just going to be what it appears as on your desktop, as shown in the documentation earlier. If the user doesn't select an icon, it will exit once more because you need an icon. The name is exactly what it sounds like. It's just the name of that desktop file that you are saving. And then if they don't select a name, it actually uses a default name, which is just the base name of this file. And it prints out a message saying that the default name would be used so the user knows what to look for. The desktop path is defined as your home directory and your desktop, obviously, and then it's just the name.desktop. To create this desktop file, we used a bunch of echo commands. This first line is just saying the desktop entry, and this single arrow is directing output, except the single arrow means it's creating or overwriting whatever's in it. Since this desktop path never existed before, it's creating that and appending desktop entry there. All of the other arrows are going to be double so that it's just appending and not writing over the previous line. So you'll have in this exact format just the name, whatever the exec is, or execution, icon, the terminal, all of that. And it will all be appended straight to that desktop file. So if you were to go ahead and open the file, it would just show this in this exact format. So this instruction saying copy the desktop file to the user's desktop is done already above here, because desktop path is already that desktop file. Then we just want to make it an executable with chmod, and +X does that, makes it executable, and this is the full path that you need. You can't just put name.desktop, you need the full path to make it executable. And then Zenity, using this command, will just print a confirmation that the desktop file has been created and moved. With our Arch Linux system, we weren't able to get Zenity file selection working, so this is what the original code looked like. If you remember in the documentation, this was YAD instead of Zenity, and then there was no dash selection. That is the only thing we had to change on any of our scripts. It just wouldn't work with Zenity for file selection for some reason, so we had to adapt to that. For the script for create backup, you basically have the same thing to start out. You'll want to select a source directory to get your, for where you want to create that backup from. Once again, we could not use the Zenity file selection, so we just changed it to yad-file. --directory worked to make sure that they were only selecting a directory and not a file at all. Once again, checking that if they did or not select a directory, if they didn't, exit. If they did, print that confirmation message to let them know what they selected. Do the exact same thing for the destination folder. This is where you can find that backup that you created. Once again, you get the error message or you get the confirmation message. This instruction is done after each step already, so we didn't have to worry about that there. Then we wanted to create a tarball of the source folder. It's almost like a zip file. The backup name is exactly what it sounds like. It is just the name that you want that tarball to be. I decided to name it backup and then the value of the date with these specific parameters. If you just chose date, it would have a naming convention that wasn't quite right because there was a bunch of spaces when you just put date. So I made sure that the output would simply be the year, month, day, and then the hour, minute, second. We didn't want just year, month, day because there are daily backups created sometimes with the cron job, and we wanted to be specific. Then you obviously just have that file type. And this is us actually creating it. You have the destination folder and the backup name. This is the path that you're going to use. And then it is from this directory. To check if it was successful, this command is just checking the return value of the last command you ran, which is this tar line. If this is equal to 0, then it was a success. If it is anything but 0, then it was unfortunately a failure. Luckily, we've only had successes, and it will print where it is saved to so they can go and check if it's there. And that's pretty much it. Okay, so I'm going to just go over a little bit of the documentation for my two scripts, icon and create backup, so that when we do a live presentation, it's clear what actually is happening. So we began icon.sh by just running it simply. And then once you run it, it will pull up and ask you to select a script file. It will then ask you to select an icon image to associate with that file. You'll enter the name that you want to be the desktop file name, and then it will confirm that it actually was saved where you asked it to be saved. And this is just it showing that it actually did work. And so this is now an executable application that I use to actually pull up create backup.sh. So what I did was just select this, and that started running immediately our create backup file, where you select where you want to get the source from, and then it will show you that it was successfully selected. You'll then choose the destination, and it will give you that confirmation as well again. And then it will show you that that backup was successfully completed. It gives you the path, and so we went to that destination, which was in Documents, which was my destination folder, and we made sure that that backup was actually in there, and it is, meaning it was a full success. So what we're going to do now is just do a live demonstration of that, just to show real quick, and then I will show the two scripts to explain how we had to alter some things from Zenity to YAD to get it to work on our Arch Linux system. Okay, so you might not be able to see very clearly, but that's why I just showed the documentation first. The point of this section is to show a live demonstration. First, in our script, we did have to change out anything that was a file select with Zenity to YAD because we could not get Zenity to work just for file selection with our Arch system. It works for everything like info and text. It's only file selection. So the only thing we had to change was change Zenity to YAD in those sections, and then just remove the -select. So it's just YAD -- file, and everything else is the same. So now I'm going to give a demonstration of just running icon and then running create backup. We're jumping back in with our icon.sh demonstration. You just do the run command, and it will open up and ask you to select a script file. We are going to select create backup and press OK. Then it asks you to select the icon. I just have a random .png file icon downloaded from Firefox. And then it'll ask you for the name. We are going to call this Unix demonstration. So now we get that confirmation message saying it was created successfully and where it was created as a desktop file. So now we can go and find that. And it is right here with that icon we made, along with all of our tests that we ran. When you select this, it is an executable, so it will directly open up what create backup.sh will run. So I'm just going to select a source directory as recent. We'll use the Unix file directory. And it says that I successfully selected that. Then we'll go and select the destination, which will just be Documents. We get another successful confirmation. Now it is giving us back, you may not be able to read it, that the backup was successful and it was saved to the Documents folder. From our console, we can check that that was successfully created. So we change directory to that Documents folder, and we can see that that exact backup has been successfully run and moved there. And that is pretty much what I did. Thank you very much.
So now I'm going to go through the cron jobs file itself, and then we'll demo it for you after. Most of anything that we're doing with Zenity will be in this sort of two-part basis. We'll do our first part, creating our own value, and then we'll also be checking whether it actually was set. For what we wanted, if you don't put anything in, or if you cancel out the pop out, then we will immediately just kill the program. So the first thing we wanted was to get the date selected, which we'll just do with the Zenity calendar pop-up, and take it in as a year, month, day format. Then we'll go in and have a time, and we will first started with a 12-hour format. We'll do the same thing as a simple Zenity entry, ask for a prompt from the user, and do so. We'll also want to find whether it's AM or PM in the day, since we're doing 12-hour format. So we'll do another drop-down list with just a simple AM or PM choice. Next thing we were asked to do was convert it from a 12-hour to a 24-hour format. So what we did was take the original time value and read through it using awk with the separator as the colon. And the hour will be taken in as the first value and the minute as the second value. And now we have two separate values to then change. First, we'll look at if the meridian is AM or PM. If it's PM and the hour is less than 12, then we'll just add 12 to that hour. And now, so in case it's 10 PM at night, it will then turn into 22 for the hour. The minute, the other thing we checked for was if it's AM and it's 12, so midnight, which in 24-hour format turns to 0. So those are all kind of what we needed just to change that. The next part we wanted to get was a file that we were using. So we'll just take and create a file through another Zenity and a file selection and filter through any .sh files that we want to use. Keep in mind, something that I learned recently was if we're using so many Zenity files at once, adding this modal at the end of these Zenity functions kind of helps keep it all running in the right order that we made it. Therefore, it doesn't all kind of run into each other and create things we don't want. After that, if we are using Zenity to choose our file and to create backup sh, which we originally were doing, and then we had to go to, since we had to change to YAD, it's still basically the same thing. We set our display and X authorities, so then later on we can actually display that sort of stuff. One of the last things we were asked is to get a sort of repetition schedule, which we got through another drop-down list on Zenity, between daily, weekly, monthly, and annually, and we'll put that into another value. Now, choosing the actual repetition itself, we had to break apart the day that we first started on, using awk again, but with the dash as our separator instead. We took the date selected and read it for day for that third value, and month as the second value. And now we have that later for the actual case repetition. If you just wanted to, what we'll be doing is creating that cron job schedule through it, just with basically that case. The longer it takes, the more we add on. And if none of that works, then we put in and kill the function. Next, we'll actually make that cron job command itself, which will take the schedule, the display and authority, and the file that we wanted to work with. And then we just change that cron job, first going through, seeing what we got, appending it to the new one, and actually changing it to that new job, therefore changing it, appending it. And then at the end, we will actually just have you give you a little pop-up that shows everything that we did with the repetition, what job, and all that sort of stuff.
Okay, so I am now going to run over the cron job script just for some clarity. We used 2 different scripts for this to check and see that it worked, update network and then update packages. I'm going to go through both, and then in the live demonstration, I'm just going to do update packages. So first so actually, the first slide is the code that we have in update network, courtesy of Ian. Thank you very much. Simple as it may be, it gets the job done. So you'll literally just run cron jobs as usual. It will ask you to select a date for the job to be run. We just selected today's date for simplicity. Gave it a random time. We chose 10 in the PM. And then we selected that update network script. And it says that the file was successfully selected. And then we chose how often we want it to repeat. We chose annually. And then here's the confirmation for that. That's the 22 that Jack was explaining earlier, 10 plus 12. It is today's date and then running annually. So then it shows us the path where it is exactly saved to. Just to check that this was actually working, we did print out exactly where that is. And it is there, so it is ready to run. So for update network, when you run this, it will just basically update all the network, which is exactly what that one line was for. It'll ask the user if they want to proceed. You choose yes or no. If you choose yes, it will go ahead and do that. And so it'll do that once a year on today's date at 22 p.m. When you do this with packages, the first few steps are all the same. This is the script, what the script looked like. It's a little bit different than the one line for update network, since you have to have a user chosen package or packages that they want to update. So the user will be asked, what packages do you want to be updated when this cron job runs? If it doesn't select anything, then it just exits because you're not updating anything. And then it will print out the packages that you do select if you do. And then that last line is it just exactly doing what it's saying, which is updating those packages. So when you select update packages, once you run the cron jobs, it will give you that confirmation that you selected it. Then you will select how often, annually. And then it gives you that exact confirmation that you got last time. This time it's at 10 a.m. and this is every day. So those are 3 stars there. Now, because we have another function that we're running in that script file, which is update packages, it is going to print out a Zenity function as shown in the script earlier, enter the names of the packages that you want to update. Just as an example, we chose Zenity and YAD, the 2 easiest things you can think of. They will be separated by a space for each package. So once the user types those in and presses OK, it is going to give you a confirmation. And then in the terminal, it will ask you if you want to proceed with the update. You'll select yes or no. And then it will show you as they update and let you know if it happens successfully. So we are going to go back onto our Arch system and do a live demonstration of that. Okay, so just like in the documentation, you will start with just running the cron job script. It'll ask you to select a date. We can go ahead and select this Saturday. Then we'll enter a time. Let's do 7. And then we'll do PM. So we will select, let's just do create backup since the documentation for update network and update packages is already shown. Then we'll see that confirmation that we selected create backup.sh. I'm going to select weekly. And then there is that information tab showing that it is at 1900, which is 7 in the PM. And then it is weekly, so we only have 2 of those asterisks. And the path to this create backup cron job is in the home, root, x30 bash scripts, everything there. And we do get this message up here, backup of root's previous cron tabs saved here, just because it is showing you the path to go and find the confirmation that you just popped up in actually just a path. That is shown in the documentation, so it would be a little redundant to show it here. Where create backup in a cron tab is different is it will create a backup file instead of pulling up update packages or update network. And so it doesn't have any extra that it just pops up until it runs, which won't be until Saturday. And that is pretty much that.
This project demonstrates proficiency in Unix scripting using Bash and Zenity. The completed scripts include a GUI-driven backup tool, a cron job scheduler, and a desktop launcher generator. All scripts executed successfully in an Arch Linux environment. The conclusion: completing this Unix final project provided hands-on experience with core Linux administration tasks, including external drive installation, system customization, GUI-based scripting, and automated job scheduling. The final system successfully incorporated a chosen desktop environment, essential software packages, and functional file structure, and working Bash scripts capable of backing up directories, updating system packages, managing network diagnostics, and creating desktop launchers. The included testing and screenshots verify that each script executed correctly using Zenity, dialogues, and cron automation as required. Additionally, this project strengthened practical skills in system configuration, terminal navigation, software installation, collaboration, and documentation. The final deliverables: installation walkthrough, screenshots, and video demonstration. Peer evaluations reflect a complete implementation of all project requirements. Through this process, the team gained valuable experience in real-world Linux operations and scripting workflows that are directly applicable to professional environments involving system administration, automation, and open source technologies.
Well, I just want to say thank you to the team. After editing this is pretty enjoyable project, pretty enjoyable class. Scotty, I definitely enjoyed this one. Ian, if it wasn't for you being on our team, we probably would have been screwed with some of those issues that we had, getting the system running. Paige, getting the documentation done as fast as you did, as well as you did, we could not have asked for anything better. And Macy, I mean, you really were the driving force for this team. I mean, honest to God, really. So thank you, everyone, if you watch this. Otherwise, just for me.